What's up, y'all? Back for more storytelling, talking about why I still continue on this pursuit into the unknown of the reality of God. If He's real, if He's not, what have you. This whole thing kind of started from a video that I did a while ago, talking about how I prayed and fasted for 7 days to experience God, and I didn't experience anything. But out of that fast, I did get some clarity, and there was a couple of points that really made me want to continue searching things out, I guess spiritually speaking, instead of just leaving it all behind and kind of becoming an atheist. So I want to talk about those reasons that I found in the fast to continue to press forward into the things that I don't understand, to figure out what I believe and all that kind of stuff. So I talked about a story last week where I saw essentially blind eyes open. And that was definitely one of the reasons where, like, that's something I can't logically explain. I don't really know what happened there, but it's one of the reasons why I press forward. So this week I'm going to talk about another story, and it has to do with prophecy and calling me out and my whole family out by name and just stuff that it's... All right, so here's the story. So the kind of church that I grew up in was spirit-filled, charismatic, Pentecostal, all that kind of stuff, So like speaking in tongues, shaking, rolling on the floor, praying for healing, believing in the gifts of the Spirit, all that kind of stuff. And one of the gifts of the Spirit is prophecy. Now there's a whole bunch of, I feel like, gifts that are inside this box that the charismatic, spirit-filled Christian church calls prophetic. And it's a funny joke that I even made when I was in church, and a couple of my friends that are still Christian make this joke, but I still make it after. There's a fine line between prophetic and pathetic. I laughed like that even when I was a Christian, so I don't know what that says. But something that I kept thinking about in that fast that I did years ago was this story that happened where this prophecy was a little too specific. Now, I've prophesied over people before. I've gotten some like weirdly accurate things that I'm like, okay, that's accurate, but I don't know like how, are they just wanting this to be accurate? I don't know. And then there's been a whole bunch of like stuff that I've gotten like prophetically, people speaking over my life, giving me words of encouragement, that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, like that's, kind of specific in a metaphorical, like analogy kind of way, like allegory, if you will. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, this makes sense to me, but it wasn't like super specific. So this story in particular was a little too specific. Now, this specific prophet, well, before I mention that, there's a lot of, I guess, conspiracy theories surrounding the prophetic and like prophets, like speaking to people, telling them, not only their name and birthday, but what, a lot of like spirit-filled Christians that are in the prophetic community call like reading your mail, if you will, essentially like literally knowing your address, where you live, what you do for a living, how many kids you have, your husband's name, all this kind of stuff. Like they can just like see it on you, or they're getting the downloads or whatever it may be. And there's a whole bunch of conspiracy theories around this, like refuting that, and like a lot of the modern day prophets that claim to have these, abilities of reading people's mail. Like there's been a couple things where, there's been like a microphone or a headset into like a headphone in somebody's ear, and they're getting information and then telling people about it because they looked them up on social media or whatever. And some of those you can find a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube, right? And some of those I look at and I'm like, yeah, that's, I don't know about that. In those conspiracy theories, I've never met that prophet that's in those videos, and I don't know the people that he's talking to. So all those conspiracy theories aside, there was a specific prophet that came to the ministry school that I was at, and he called out my roommates, people that I lived with. He called them out by name. He called this guy out, like by name, what he does, his hobbies, his girlfriend at the time, and he knew that they were about to get engaged, and he was talking about their life together and just like what God is going to be doing in their lives and this and that. and even I think he's even called out her hobbies and what she does, and I'm like, I live with this guy. I know that he didn't see this guy ahead of time. And so like that's interesting. That's crazy. And then prior to that though, this same prophet was at this convention where my mom was. Like my parents are pastors, and my mom, heard of this prophet and went to go see where he was. And just like witness, I guess, this for herself. And lo and behold, this prophet called her out. And he not only called my mom out by name, he, called my dad out, who wasn't there. The fact that she has 3 kids, and then called us out by name. And then also told my mom about a dream that she had concerning her mother that had died just a year or two prior. And okay, maybe it's like maybe he could have gotten like the names from social media, but that's a whole lot of work to connect the dots. So I'm like, why would he do that? But also, like, my mom only writes about her dreams in her journal. So how did he know about a dream that my mom had concerning her dead mother that passed away years ago? And it was just like, I don't know what that is. I've witnessed some other things that that was like reading her mail. My mom felt unbelievably seen. And that's I think the purpose of that in a prophetic, Christian sense is like, God sees you. I'm getting this download, and now I'm reading your mail, and God's giving it to me because God sees your mail, to put it in those terms. God sees your mail, and he's wanting to know that he sees you and he's with you and la da 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 da. There can be a very powerful thing for the individual that is experiencing that. And so I know I've had it happen to me as well, where I'm like, I didn't really have, my mail read, but I think in a spiritual sense, like different Bible verses that I'd been reading, that I'd really been pondering on, that I was thinking about all these things, and I was like, this is crazy. I don't know if I can mention this to anybody because this doesn't make sense. And then somebody would say it and call it out and be like, this is what you're meant for. This is what I'm hearing. And I'm like, that is crazy specific. Now, again, was I just trying to make those things specific and like make it fit into my ideas and paradigm and what I'd been researching and stuff? Or was it actually, this download? I don't know about that, but when I think, for those people, but when I think about that prophet in particular prophesying over my mother, I'm like, I don't know what that is. That was another point during that fast. Like I said last week or 2 weeks ago now, I mentioned seeing the blind eye open. And I was like, that's wild to me. I can't explain that. This prophet that called out my mom by name and a dream she had and her husband and 3 kids, I don't know what to do with that. Sure, there's conspiracy theories surrounding those type of prophets and reading people's mail, but I'm like, I know, like, that was my mom. And it was my roommate. Like, I know these people. And even a couple of my friends that were at the ministry school that I went to, they got their mail read by this guy as well. I know these people. Like, these people aren't paid actors, right? They're not just like faking it. I've had full-on conversations with these people. So it's like, that's one thing where I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know, but that to me says something. It speaks to me subjectively, and like a maybe there is something more. So that's another reason, something else I got out of that fast, that I'm like, this gives me incentive, this gives me motivation to keep moving forward into this unknown, into things I can't understand. Not like Christianity, but maybe there is something more to it. But it's very interesting to me that these events that I've seen take place where I'm like, can't explain it, don't know how to explain it. This is something that I wrestle with, It's kind of like, to throw out a Bible verse, Israel in the Bible. his name was Israel, and Israel means one who wrestles with God. And I like Jordan Peterson, his take on it psychologically is like, the people of Israel, that was the name of the people of God. And those people mean, people, one who wrestles with God, the people who wrestle with God. And so Jordan Peterson's take on that is like, you don't truly know and understand until you start to wrestle with God. Which I love Jordan Peterson's take on stuff. So I always thought that was super interesting. And I think for me, even hearing that, wrestling with these things, I was like, this is, I feel like I am wrestling with God, or with an unknown, with something that I don't understand, but I'm like, are you real? Do you see me? Do you speak to me? And all that kind of stuff. So, it's one of those things over the past, how many years has it been now? 8, 7, something like that. That I just ponder and I think about, and I'm like, what is this? I don't know, but this makes me want to keep searching things out. So that's that. Would love to know your all's thoughts about everything that I just said. Yeah, let me know in the comments. Love reading your comments. I don't always reply, but I do read them. But yeah, that's that. What do you think? Conspiracy theories? Are you on the side of thinking that these are conspiracy theories, or are you on the side of like, no, that's something real, like prophets are real, the 4 clairs, clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient, and I forget the other one, all of that's real. I call them the clairs because that's a more like new age spiritual term, but in Christianity it's the same thing. In my head, in my mind, it's the same thing. So what do you think? Would love to hear it. I'll see you misfits in the next one. Peace.